Hi everyone, welcome to this conference about AI in healthcare focused on the Portuguese ecosystem. So my name is Miguel Amador. I'll be with you during the session, being your hosts in the name of EIT Health. So I welcome everyone to this, that we intend to be more than just another webinar, just another online event trying to connect and bring people together, still not being able to do it physically, but at least digitally. I want to leave you some small notes about EIT Health and what we do and how we can support these ecosystems. So EIT Health is a global network of entrepreneurs, of innovators, of partners that work as a consortium to promote lives that will be healthier, not only today, but in the future. So we work together to promote healthier ways of living and actually better ways of aging. So we age with more active, in some way, in a fashion that we can not only live longer but healthier. So what I wanted to leave here from EIT Health is the notion that we are working here European-wide. So we are doing these cross borders. So despite speaking today in Portugal, we even doing this event in English, because I think that what we are doing in Portugal is a good example for the rest of Europe. At the same time, what is being done in Europe should be an example of Portugal, and better, what we'll be doing together in these fields is the example to the world. So that is the focus of EIT Health, promoting this community. And I'll just showcase that we have hundreds of partners across Europe, getting worldwide leading academic institutions, business, in the top industry in Europe, and the best innovators doing and pushing for health innovation. This is some of our partners, so you may recognize some of the brands. What I would like to leave you here more in Portugal is that we have several partners in Portugal. So among the main universities, the main IT industries in the country, and we work together from north to south in this network that we aim to expand in the further in 2021. So we also have hubs connected to EIT Health, especially in Porto, where we try to cover as much the country and connect, of course, in this logic of European scale. So I'll leave this question to you through this session. Is how can Portugal scale AI and also, of course, digital health on its healthcare system? This is the question that motivates this conference, that will motivate the discussions we will see. We'll see amazing projects, but the underlying question is how can we scale? I'm really afraid here on this conference of all the technology, all the digital tools, because they can fail us. But if it fails us, it's just a conference that goes away. But in healthcare, we have doctors, health professionals, engineers afraid if the technology fails them, because if it fails, the impact can be really big. So how can we scale this beyond the pilots to really come to our life, be in our daily lives in some way, embrace not only the technology, but all the things around that we need to promote. So I'll move now to our next first session. So we have with us Lydia Kornovska, that is the responsible for the Polish Hospital Federation. So she'll bring us here a different perspective, a perspective from Poland, of course, but more important than probably bringing here US or UK, the typical countries when we speak about AI and ecosystems that we speak. It's good to bring here a good example of a country quite similar to us as Portugal in this European landscape, and showcase a little bit the struggles, the challenge, what they've been doing at this level. So I'll move into the session and bring Lydia into this event. So Lydia, welcome.
Hi, hello. Thank you for the invitation. It's an honor to me to be a keynote speaker at your conference. Can you see the presentation?
Yeah, I'll put it on and let you start. So
Great. So I am also very pleased to know that Portugal is really focused on utilizing new technologies in healthcare. So I really am looking forward to exchanging knowledge between Polish and Portuguese AI experts. My name is Lydia Kornovska. I am a medical doctor and economist, and I like to think about myself a little as a medical futurist. As a leader of AI coalition in healthcare, in Poland, I try to encourage development of AI and prepare regulatory environment in order to ensure that using algorithms in healthcare is safe and efficient for patients. And as a managing director at Polish Hospital Federation, the largest hospital organization in Poland, I work on supporting AI implementation in medical entities. I believe that delay in wide responsible implementation of AI in healthcare really costs human lives and suffering, and it would be unethical and irresponsible for industry leaders not to commit to improving access to this innovation. Like in the case, for example, antibiotics or soon to be COVID-19 vaccines. So I would love to tell you more about what's going on in Poland healthcare system when it comes to AI. Development of AI in healthcare is like a discovery of penicillin. This is a quote from our president of Warsaw Medical Chamber. Although I think I don't have to convince you how huge impact will AI have on the healthcare, I would like to tell you about some things from the Lancet newspaper that for me are truly remarkable. We as doctors use some medical devices to diagnose a patient. For example, we use ECG, electrocardiogram, for detecting heart attack, arrhythmias, and other heart problems. Last study, however, shows that reading ECG diagram, AI demonstrated good performance in diagnosing anemia. And it's extraordinary because it's a task beyond the physical or mental abilities of physicians. We just don't do that. That proves that artificial intelligence may find patterns and draw conclusions from the data that we did not foresee were important for this kind of diagnosis or treatment. I am expecting that months and years to come will provide us with more and more examples of utilizing existing data sets to provide additional health value. In previous decade, focused on collecting digital data, not necessarily in structured form. In years to come, scientists will focus on unleashing untapped potential of medical data. Another example of smart AI algorithms is the one that detects chronic kidney disease from color fundus photographs. This is a simple photo of our retina, and this is not invasive examination. So these studies need further research, of course, but it shows us the scale of the revolution that is going on right now in medicine. And I am happy to tell Polish government acknowledges this revolution. First of all, there is a policy for the development of AI in healthcare, in Poland, that is waiting for the final approval. This document is not healthcare specific. However, we believe it's a first step towards creating appropriate environment for AI development and implementation. Our government created also a draft act on open data and actually a program on open data. As we all know, data is crucial for AI, so it's one more step forward. Secondly, according to saying, put your money where your mouth is, our National Center for Research and Development opened a program for financing AI development, including specifically AI in medicine, in medical imaging. There is 15 million euros for taking in the first phase, and it will definitely help to multiply healthcare AI algorithms. I know this is a small amount, and this is only one of many examples of public funds being allocated directly for AI development and implementation. Medical AI is helping with COVID pandemic in Poland too. Polish Ministry of Health started a cooperation with one of the startups which have created chatbot for COVID suspicion patients. All Polish-speaking people can use this algorithm for free on the Ministry of Health website. It will definitely help widening knowledge about AI, for example, for patients. I would like to talk about specific AI implementation too. Of course, AI is present in Polish hospitals nowadays, but it is interesting to note that the scope of implementation and application is broadening rapidly, and AI is being proved not only by large multinational players, but also local startups. We have a couple of Polish startups that are focused on medical imaging AI and cooperate directly with individual hospitals, but they also cooperate with teleradiological companies that provide services for numbers of hospitals. So it means that we use AI wider than we think, in this case in radiology. We have startups which create medical chatbots, and they have been successfully implemented in medical entities, and apparently they are successful. For example, Informatica, Polish startup, raised $10 million in Series A funding, and is a leader in medical chatbots technology. We are waiting still for Polish medical unicorns, and we believe we, as Poland, can be an important player when it comes to medtech area. Observing these trends, a couple of organizations, including Polish Hospital Federation, decided to create AI Coalition in Healthcare. This is a non-formal working group that aims at helping creating favorable conditions for medical AI development and implementations. It links together medical entities like our federation, or for example, LuxMed. LuxMed is a part of BUPA. Pharmaceutical companies like AstraZeneca, IT and technological companies like Philips or Microsoft, consultants like DZP law firm, and of course medical startups. I have a privilege to be a leader of the coalition, and we see a huge room for improvement in medical AI area, and we work on it passionately. Because I forgot, as a coalition, we strongly cooperate with government too. Our last meeting, you can see this on the photo. It was before the pandemic. Was held in Ministry of Digitization, and there were representatives from Ministry of Health, from eHealth Agency, National Health Fund, Commissioner for Patients' Rights and Personal Data Protection Office. Right now, we mostly coordinate our actions with eHealth Agency, which is a public leader for healthcare digitization. This is an institution under Ministry of Health. I know I sounded very optimistic and paint a lofty vision, but it is time to face the reality. So let's get it down to earth. There are many challenges in AI implementation in Poland. We face some problems in AI, and it's a pity, but some of them are actually specific for Poland. We have a very limited access to medical data. And by medical data, I mean anonymized medical data too. For example, there is Act on Patients' Rights, and some of the paragraphs are not consistent with actual definition of anonymization stipulated in GDPR. And huge number of hospitals don't even know if they can share fully anonymized data or they cannot. As I mentioned before, we made some attempts to open the data. Act on Access to Data was released, but actually that act doesn't tell anything about medical data. So that's a huge problem, and there is a lot to do. And as a Polish Hospital Federation and AI Coalition in Healthcare, we work hard to ensure that access to data and for our government to see medical data area. Speaking about medical data, we can't skip a discussion about access to personal medical data. Right now, if we run medical or scientific research and we need an access to non-anonymized data, we have to obtain patient's consent for utilizing his data for very specific aim. And it works well when a hospital, in cooperation with university, medical university, runs a research that needs data from that one hospital directly. However, if a commercial company wants to create AI algorithms, which needs data from very different medical entities, not from one hospital, and additionally, it needs them to be bundled together as a complete record from one patient, it's not that easy. European Union understands that, and that we should build trusted third parties that could actually collect and integrate patients' data from different medical entities. And there is also an idea that patient, as an owner of his data, should have an opportunity to donate his data for greater good. Like, for example, he donates his blood or marrow. In Poland, there is still, how to say it, very little understanding of that, and we lack of data donor schemes. We actually don't know about it anything. So even if we have an access to medical data, its quality is poor. We struggle a lot with implementation of standardized format of medical data and interoperability across the healthcare sector. This alone is a huge challenge in health digitization. On the other hand, existing medical AI algorithms are not fully utilized due to the lack of regulations. There are no acts or guidelines or something like that on how to use AI in medical entities, or how to fulfill patients' right when using AI to diagnose and treat, or who bears the responsibility of the outcome of AI. There are no medical standards how and when to use AI created, for example, by medical chambers or scientific societies. So it is still a gray zone, so the risk of working on this field is higher. Couple of governmental institutions try to solve these problems, and that's great. They see the need to address these challenges. The problem here is they try to do it all on their own without coordination. Some actions are right now taken by Ministry of Health, Ministry of Digitization, Ministry of Education, but there is a lack of cooperation between them. And it may mean that some acts and regulation that are definitely much needed won't be consistent with each other. So what do we do about it? As an AI coalition in healthcare, we created a report on access to medical data and quality of it. In this report, we addressed main challenges in legal environment, and we published comprehensive recommendations on how to change the status quo. It's a pity report is only in Polish, but this is a huge work of different companies and leading consultants, and it is a repository of knowledge about legal challenges in Poland when it comes to medical data. We believe it can be a sort of roadmap for developing AI-friendly or new technology-friendly environment step by step. We expand cooperation between stakeholders in Poland and abroad. We work with public institutions on national level, and we work with European Commission as well. A working group which aims at AI in healthcare, and I was honored to represent Poland in this group. We closely cooperate with EIT Health, and it is a great organization that could really help in implementing new cutting-edge technologies in healthcare. There is, in the right, there is a photo of us while workshops on medical AI organized by Mikołaj Gurdała, EIT Health InnoStar Stars Manager. This was an amazing meeting of healthcare workforce, and together with government representatives, we were working on actions needed to enable development of AI. In June 2020, along with the UK Embassy and hopefully other partners, we are organizing first AI in Health conference in Poland too, which, judging from the huge interest, is going to be one of the most important events regarding this area in CE. Please feel invited for the event. I hope I will see you there in person, maybe, if pandemic will allow us to. As a Polish Hospital Federation, we are involved in creating a trusted third party, Donate Your Data Foundation, that will collect. That foundation will collect patients' consents for integrating and anonymizing their medical data for greater good. We believe it will help with access to the medical data because like especially thinking about that 77% of Polish patients are willing to share their data for R&D purposes. We will see how it will go. And last but not least, very important action, eHealth Agency, this institution under Ministry of Health, is working now on eHealth strategy for Poland for 21-26. Fortunately, one of the 5 areas of this strategy is artificial intelligence and big data. And I have privilege to be a leader of that stream. And together with more than 20 experts, we develop a roadmap for AI in healthcare for the next 5 years. I personally believe that this could be a game changer because it is expected that this document will be the most important when it comes to health digitization in Poland. So probably this document will be accepted in first quarter next year. So thank you for your time. It's for sure it's not all that is going on right now in Poland when it comes to AI in healthcare, but I'm open to discussion with you, and I really hope for further cooperation in the field of AI in healthcare. And I am waiting for your questions.
Thank you. Great presentation. I think it gave a really nice overview on what is happening in Poland, and probably we can run some of the questions that people are sharing. Probably a quick one on can institutions outside Poland, like research institutions, work with the healthcare system in Poland? How easy is for you to work with external companies or external institutions in some way of developing this kind of implementations, this kind of innovation, and what could be the challenge of making this collaboration more international?
Oh, okay. So as Polish Hospital Federation and as a AI coalition in healthcare, we are cooperating with external stakeholders, even stakeholders from different countries. And I think it's crucial to establish this cooperation, especially when it comes to European Union, because it won't happen when it comes to AI in healthcare or AI widely when we will act alone as an alone country. So we are open to that cooperation, and I think the biggest challenge actually is to set up the cooperation between governmental institutions and not even between not governmental stakeholders and governmental institutions, but between governmental institutions, between one ministry and the other ministry. We are
on the different countries, or even inside the same country.
Sorry, so in the same country, because I feel that cooperation between different countries is is open. We can do that, and we, for example, cooperate with English Embassy on AI in healthcare and about our conference. But we still see the problem in our country to coordinate actions from one ministry to other ministry.
a key point, I think, for this discussion, in 2019-20, we saw all Europe going, let's say, nuts with Germany, with their digital health policy. Now is like becoming the holy grail for digital health. And just because the minister in some way took that as a priority for the country. You presented different initiatives, different things that seems that if in Poland you are having this, not only AI, but also the digital health as a priority. How is important for the top to push for this to become it a priority, and how ready is the bottom, let's say, the people in the fields to actually implement these kind of things?
Okay, so I think I think that our top and our government sees that this is a huge challenge, and it has to do something about not only AI in healthcare, but digitization in healthcare. And one of their action is creating e-health strategy for 21-26. So they definitely sees the need for that kind of document and for coordination of these actions. But still, I am waiting for results of that document, because I am really hoping that it won't be a document that we will put it on the shell board, right?
Some people asking if they will be available in English, so also to them to share with the world.
Yeah, I think it's a question to eHealth agency, but I don't know. I don't really know, but it should be in English, actually. Or maybe we'll translate our part of AI. And when it comes to the bottom and to this field of medical entities, hospitals, medical doctors, I can see that knowledge about AI is spreading, because, for example, medical chambers provides webinars for doctors about AI in healthcare, but it's still not very popular, especially right now. We have so many different problems with pandemia. Of course, we speak about tools AI tools that can help with pandemia. Natomiast it's still a small part of the whole discussion about digitization in healthcare.
So probably a last question also from the audience. If you want to leave an advice for entrepreneur or for innovators, so someone probably working more in the tech sides, what should be the steps that they should take to be able to push or to see his technology adopted by the Polish healthcare system? So what do you advise them to start with, how they can actually build something that could be a win for all in the end?
Oh, I really thank you for that question, because in Poland I work also with medical startups, and we created this report about startups in Poland. It's a great knowledge about startups for medical directors, for example. So when it comes to my advice, have elastic business model and know who is paying for what in Polish healthcare sector, because it's tricky. And yes, be elastic. The second advice would be go international, because Polish, only Poland is still a small part of European Union, so it's better to think globally, or European. Yeah, and the third advice is to connect with stakeholders, with directors of hospitals, and then to share with them your idea on your startup or on your project, because it can be they can have very important lessons for you when it comes to new development of new technology.
Okay, so thank you. I think our time is running out. So thank you for this input. I think is a good framework for what we'll be discussing for the rest of the afternoon is the Portuguese context. And now we can say that what we can do, like in some way, if in Poland you do it, there's no reason for Portugal we don't do the same. And I hope also that what we'll discuss here in Portugal will be also helpful for Poland and for further collaboration, because a lot of these topics are actually European. When we speak about data, when we speak about these kinds of issues, they need to be done at European level. So more than discussing how to do it in Portugal, I think we'll be discussing in some way how Portugal fits on this overall ecosystem. And it's nice to understand the challenge, the difficulties, and the opportunities that you have also in your country. So thank you. We'll be finishing this session and resume soon for the next innovation showcase. So thank you for.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Above all, I want to thank EIT Health and especially Miguel Medor, the interim managing director for EIT Health Portugal, for this invitation. And I'll just very briefly present myself and what I do. So my name is David Magbule. I'm the CEO and founder of Lab to Market. Lab to Market is a project to promote innovation in healthcare, and especially to help researchers and startups to launch their products into the market. I've been working with the EIT Health for a while, and it's a real pleasure to be here and to be able to participate in this panel where we'll be showcasing some of the most innovative projects in AI, artificial intelligence, in healthcare in Portugal. So without further delay, since we have 7 projects to be presented today, I will be passing on the microphone, let's say, to Ana Rita Londral. Ana Rita Londral is the CEO for Value for Health Collab. Collab is a network of collaborative laboratories across the country. This one specifically associated also with the University of Nova, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm sure Ana Rita could present herself and her institution, and then present the project itself. Thank you very much, Anna. Sorry, I think Anna is muted.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can now. Perfect.
Okay, so I was saying that, thank you, David. Good afternoon. Value for Health is, as you said, a collaborative laboratory, and its partners are Nova University, CUF Group, the main private healthcare provider in Portugal, Vodafone Portugal, and Fraunhofer Portugal. So these 4 partners are the partners of the founding partners of Value for Health Collab, and I have 2 projects related to AI in healthcare that I will showcase now. Frailcare AI is one of the projects. This project started with a group of a clinical team in the telecare service SNES 24, where they started a pilot in 2 regions of Portugal to build or to develop a special intervention for elderly population with frailty conditions, which is a condition identified, diagnosed by the medical doctors, that raises the risk of bad health outcomes, including mortality. So this team started this project in 2 regions, and now we are using AI to prepare the project to be scaled up for a national level. The partners in this project are Value for Health Collab, Nova Links, Nova Medical School, and the SPMES that holds the SNES 24. We are with this project, we are tackling Portuguese senior population above 75 years old, diagnosed with frailty. So we are using the knowledge from the pilot study to collect multiple data sources. So this is an issue that the prior presenter also talked about, the different data sources from different primary care, hospital, and the program of follow-up. And we are being funded from the National Foundation of Science and Technology. The main outcomes of this project is to have a pool of senior citizens that are at risk of frailty, so they would be the candidates to receive a special intervention by the telecare service, SNES 24. We are building visualization tools to visualize the elderly health pathways and detect the pain points and the special events, and an assistant, an intelligent assistant to support the project. So we have data ecosystem, automatic selected prediction tool, and the support decision system. The other project is CardioFollow AI, which is an intelligent system that we are running in Hospital Santa Marta, the cardiac surgery department. And this project was our flagship project in the Value for Health Collab. So we are working with Fraunhofer, Portugal, Nova Medical School, Vodafone, Portugal, and the hospital. We developed a pilot study within the service where we followed 30 patients after cardiac surgery. So the patient is submitted to cardiac surgery, and then it takes, we give an IoT kit that was developed by Fraunhofer. The patient takes home the IoT kit and is in contact with the nurses and the medical team. And we are developing, using participatory design methods, we are developing digital tools to better support the surveillance of these patients and to empower the patients to report outcomes and improve the health outcomes. This project is also funded by the National Foundation of Science and Technology, a special program. Both projects are funded under a special program of the Foundation for Artificial Intelligence in Public Administration. So we are, with this recent funding, we are moving to a bigger clinical study with more than 100 patients that will take IoT home, and we are collecting data from the different sources of the electronic health records, the surgeon's data information, the nurse's information, and the IoT data. To develop intelligent systems that will improve the surveillance, and also we are doing the detection. Well, we want to understand who are the patients that will most benefit from this IoT interventions, and ultimately we will measure costs and prepare service design for scaling up. That's it. There are 2 websites if you want to look more about these projects or contact us. We'll be willing to give you more information. Thank you.
Perfect, and Rita, thank you very much. You've showcased 2 projects, which is very interesting, especially for a collab that's been active from just a little bit over a year or 2, if I'm not mistaken. So congratulations on this. And again, without further ado, because we have 7 projects, I'll pass on the microphone, the virtual microphone, to Ricardo Gil Santos from Glint, one of the top digital healthcare companies in Portugal.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, my name is Ricardo Gil Santos. I am an industrial engineer and management by background. And actually, nowadays I am the head of business consulting at Glint. So Glint is a company focused on healthcare sector, both in Portugal and Spain. And is a IT leader and consulting service leader in these geographies. We employ more than 1,100 people focused on these areas. So the project I will present today is ADAPT, that is a search planning tool for the COVID-19 pandemic. It is a project from Glint and in association with APA. It's Portuguese Association for Healthcare Administrators. So this tool is a tool that is indeed to the planning needs to respond to COVID-19. It's a graphical tool, and the aim is to help senior healthcare planning experts and policymakers in testing some scenarios about this huge problem in capacity planning, that is COVID-19 and the COVID-19 with the diseases that always are in the countries. So this tool, what we can say, it's an Excel-based tool. So it's not about the technology; it's about the algorithms and the intelligence that is behind the technologies. So this tool helps to estimate the number of beds that will be required in the different levels of severity, the detailed human resources that will be needed in each day in the progression of the pandemic for the specific country, and any country and any policymaker of any country can download this tool from the World Health Organization, because this tool was adopted by the World Health Organization. It's open source, and when we have it in your PC, you can create your own scenarios, input your epidemiological data, vary the mitigation scenarios, and you can just test the hospitalization rates, the number of days that each patient will be in each type of bed, and the human resources you will need, and you can estimate and plan the capacity along your country, and with that you can anticipate some scenarios and some training that will be needed. So the building blocks of this tool are mainly the epidemiological forecast and modeling, the area that is doing the capacity planning, both for hospital and contract tracing, and obviously the interaction with the decision maker, where you can vary a very large set of parameters that will allow you to test the impact of some politics and policy interventions on the scenarios. And when you combine this with the real historical data of your country, you can, after that, run an optimizer and get the right parameters to each of these model to that much accurately model the reality of your own country. So this is somehow how the tool looks. So very intuitive and very easy to use. And nowadays in Portugal, this is being used to publish weekly forecasts by health region in a partnership with some medical associations and medical societies, and with the Portuguese newspaper Público. And with that, we aim to every week communicate in a very open way with all the criteria and all the models very well explained how we are getting these numbers, and with these numbers each area, each health region can plan the hospital capacity and the needs to transfer patients between health regions along the country, and with that we improve the response to this very difficult planning problem that is this pandemic of course. So I hope I'm not bored you with that. I just say the essential about this. Many other things could be said, but I think the essential was there. Thank you very much.
Perfect, Ricardo. Thank you very much for this presentation, and congratulations on this project, because it's been even adopted by the World Health Organization, and it doesn't matter how complex or simple it is, right? Because in this case you're using an Excel. The importance is that it has an impact, and then other countries as well could adopt it eventually. So again, let me pass on the word now to Kátia Sousa Pinto from the Serviços Partilhados do Ministério da Saúde, meaning SPMS, which is the IT arm of the Ministry of Health of Portugal. Kátia, thank you very much.
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon to the audience. A special greeting to the panelists in this session. I've been delighted to hear the previous presentations and see that SPMS is actually a partner in major AI projects throughout our landscape in Portugal. I will pass on to my presentation. I wonder if you can see it already.
Not yet. I see the small, it's not full screen. I think you have to, there you go.
Okay.
And then we can see the PowerPoint. You can still launch it as a full screen from the PowerPoint.
Let's see. Can you see it as full screen now?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So let me pass on, and I will have a slightly different perspective from a public health point of view and from a Ministry of Health standpoint. When we are talking about innovation in health, we are really referring less to the technological inherent properties, but mainly to transforming healthcare processes into data-driven processes by using technology and AI. And so to achieve this and to fulfill this objective that is actually now also a government and a public mission, we have been created within the NHS in Portugal, our National Health Service, what we've been calling a Health Intelligence Lab. And our Health Intelligence Lab is actually a part of a wider strategy, the data strategy for the next generation National Health Service in Portugal, that it's out now for public consultation. And it's a document that outlines the Portuguese data strategy when we're talking about putting really the data to work for the public's health. So we do not intend only to use big data, but we want to put it to work for health of the Portuguese population. So we've been building this intelligence lab where we use the NHS health data as an ecosystem for a real-world laboratory for research and development to improve health. And one of our main objectives is to establish partnerships with major public and private research partners to advance secondary use of data in priority policy, health policy domains in Portugal, and especially we want to anticipate and learn how to manage the risks associated with AI. We want actually to be able to use AI to ensure a next generation national health service that it's more efficient and has higher levels of safety and quality for the Portuguese population. We also want to anticipate the information systems, AI-backed operation of the medical care of the future. We want to establish the background precision medicine in Portugal and for public health intelligence. And the current COVID-19 pandemic really stressed out the need for government and the Ministry of Health to evolve and upscale the use of AI in healthcare. So I will very briefly outline some of our projects. I don't have the time to talk about them all, but I will very briefly outline some of them that have been showing us more promising results at this point. So the first one It's a project that intends to control the inadequate prescription of antibiotics in Portugal. As you know, antimicrobial resistance is actually one of the biggest public health threats, one of the 10 highest public health threats identified by WHO. It is also a priority national health program in Portugal. And so what we have been doing is using our very valuable national medical prescription database to learn how medical doctors prescribe antibiotics and to incorporate national guidelines to make sure we can improve antibiotic prescription in Portugal and help medical doctors to improve their prescription patterns. We also have another project, for example, that uses our SNS24, that's the National Public Health Line, that it's actually the first step for patients when using the National Healthcare Service. And we are using machine learning and natural language processing to support the health professionals, namely the nurses, in selecting the clinical pathway according to the patient's reported information. So we are taking advantage of all data that has been collected by SNS24, and we are using it to decrease the time for patient referral and also to improve the quality of the service, making better use of the existing clinical guidelines. So this project, we hope that it will be useful and will make us better prepared for the next pandemic. We have just to finalize, and in a very complete different area, some other projects in the health planning domain. For example, one of the major issues in health planning is actually predicting emergency care unit admissions. It has been a long-standing problem when we're talking about public health and care for patients with acute diseases. So we know there is a lot of uncertainty and great variability that underlies health problems when we're talking about emergency units. So we want to use medical related data sets, but also non-medical related and unstructured data sets to help hospital administrations throughout the country, making use of our national information systems, namely electronic health records and service registries, to improve the estimates for emergency care unit demand in all across Portugal, in all hospitals across Portugal. So these are three examples that we've been working on that we hope that will have a very transformative potential and that will upscale the digital transformation of the Portuguese NHS. Thank you very much.
Perfect. Good timing, Katia. Thank you so much. Very interesting, and to see how such a big institution like SPMS is really active in this area. Next talk will be about Jean-Pedro Rivera, CEO of Pikmed, 3D orthopedic surgery tool, if I'm not mistaken. But I'll let you move forward. We've known each other for a long time, so feel free.
Yeah, so thank you, David. Thank you for the invitation. I believe you can all see my screen already.
Yes, now we can.
Okay, good. So, hello everyone. My name is Jean-Pierre Rivera. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Pikmed. I'm a biomedical engineer by training with a lot of expertise around medical imaging. So today I would like to explain you a little bit about what we are doing with Pikmed and why we exist. So our main goal is to digitalize the whole process and the whole value chain when you as a patient go and meet your orthopedic surgeon for the first time until you are inside of the operating room. But before that, let me explain a little bit about the problem that we have identified. Every year, most of the implant manufacturers in the market, they are spending billions with managing their own inventory. And what we have found out is that every year they are wasting and basically putting in trash around $300 million US just with write-offs. So implants are not suitable anymore to be used. So with Pikmed, we can help solving this challenge. And how? So by helping the surgeon to properly diagnose the problem, plan and simulate different outcomes until the point that he knows which implants to be used inside of the operating room. So I have here two examples. This is the first one where we are using our artificial intelligence technology in order to speed up the process of planning and simulation different outcomes. So on the left side screen, you have a patient that needs to be to go into a knee osteotomy procedure in order to correct the right leg. As you can see, it has a deformity. So this is a quite challenging procedure to plan because there's a lot of math, there's a lot of things that you need to take into consideration. So on the right side, you have already the best case scenario for this particular patient. And in between, it took 10 seconds to the surgeon in order to reach from point A, first image on the left, to point B, the image on the right. Another example is when you have a CT scan. So, and you can do the planning in 3 dimensions as well. So in this case, it's to simulate a total hip replacement, where the biggest challenge is to know which implants to use. So on the left side, you have the image before the planning, and on the right side, you have the image after the planning, where with our artificial intelligence technology, not only the system was able to automatically detect the deformity, automatically segment the image, and then again, automatically place implants in the patient. 90 seconds between those two images. Right now, we want to improve our technology. So we are also dealing with deep learning technologies in order to even speed up more this process by automatically detecting landmarks. So in the future, we won't need to ask the surgeon to determine some of the landmarks he will be using inside of the operating room. So by doing this, again, we can help those implant manufacturers to cut at least 2/3 of the cost they have annually with those write-offs, because they know prior to the surgery, with weeks in advance, which implants they will need to use. So our business model is quite straightforward. So we sell annual subscription fee directly to the implant manufacturer. So the implant manufacturer then provides this additional service to the end user, the surgeon, or the hospital. So right now we have closed several deals with implant manufacturers. We have some deals as well with Surgeon Society, where they are using our technology on the daily basis. We are running 2 pilots with top 3 implant manufacturers in the market, and we have ongoing discussions with much more. So right now we are CE marked and ISO approved for Europe. We are FDA cleared for United States, and we just got the ANVISA notification for the Brazilian market. In terms of IP, so we have 2 patents that are granted for the technology that I just showed you, and we are designing 2 additional ones for the new technology based on deep learning. But none of this, of course, would have been possible without the amazing team that we have. It's a team of a mix between biomedical engineers, computer science, and AI experts, but also, of course, with orthopedic surgeons. So it's a perfect match between both worlds. So thank you very much for your time today. And remember, we are currently fundraising. So if you want to know more, just reach out to me. Thank you.
Perfect. Well done, João-Pedro. Very good presentation, and I really liked the call to action at the end. Hope you're lucky. We'll speak later in the panel afterwards. Now I'm going to pass on the microphone to Maria Vasconcelos from Fraunhofer Institute.
Hello, good afternoon. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so thank you for the invitation. I'm a senior researcher at Fraunhofer, Portugal. Fraunhofer is a research institute with a mission to create cutting-edge innovation based on the end-user insights. Our motto is to create remarkable technology and easy to use. And I will be now presenting DERMA-E, one of the projects currently running at Fraunhofer that uses AI in the field of healthcare, and in this case, to power teledermatological screening. So this is a project, a 3-year project financed by FCT, and is being developed by together with SPMS. Katia has already presented some of the projects. This is another project with SPMS, and we are now in the end of the 2nd year of the project. So skin is the largest organ in the human body, and skin cancer is the most common type of cancer worldwide. For instance, in Portugal, the skin cancer corresponds to 1/3 of all cancers, and this number has been growing every 2% or 3% per year. And although malignant melanoma accounts only for a small percentage of skin cancer, it is responsible for the most skin cancer related deaths. However, if detected early, the success rates of curing this type of cancer are very high. Another problem in this field, especially in Portugal, is the lack of specialized resources to detect these cases early and to be easier to treat after. So in order to minimize those issues, awareness activities and also screening programs are of high importance here. So in Derma-E project, we aim to contribute to process optimization between the primary care units and dermatologist services of the National Health Service. They have implemented the dermatological screening procedure, the National Health Service, where doctors from local healthcare centers can request a consult by sending a picture of a skin mole and relevant clinical information. But from previous conversation with the dermatologists, we noticed that many requests were being returned due to the lack of quality of the images being sent. So the goal of this project is to develop mobile technology for healthcare professionals validated as a referral solution for skin lesion. So we have developed a mobile application to help the doctors from the local healthcare centers to acquire skin mole images in an easy and intuitive way that uses image processing algorithms to control the acquisition of the skin mole in real time and guarantee the quality of the acquisition. Depending on the type of image being acquired, we develop different algorithms. And in this case, for the case of close-up photos, microscopic photos, the simple act of touching the smartphone to acquire the image is enough to have a blurred image because it's too close to the picture to be taken. So we developed an algorithm to automatically acquire the image once it detects the skin lesion. Also, we have been, moreover, it's also a goal for us to develop an AI-powered risk prioritization and decision support platform based on the retrospective data from the NNHS and merging the clinical information and the image data and using machine learning and deep learning and computer vision approaches in order to support dermatologists in cases prioritization and referral decision making. So to sum up, we intend to help the primary care units in the acquisition process of the images to ensure that the image has quality and also to ensure for the dermatology services to receive quality information and support cases prioritization. In global, we intend with this to decrease in the end the skin cancer morbidity and mortality. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria Vasconcelos. Congratulations on this project, which I believe as well SPMS is somehow involved. And as Katia before was saying, SPMS really has a hand, let's say, in a lot of these projects here in Portugal, luckily. Next, moving on to Luís Valent, CEO of Ilove. Ilove is one of the startups Portuguese startups that's been very, very successful recently. So, Luís Valent, please go ahead with your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the invitation. Pleasure to be here. So I'm Luís. I'm CEO of Ilove. Background in engineering, and in Ilove, what we're building is really this cloud-based intelligent platform to accelerate the use and the development of personalized therapeutics. This is what an overall structure of the value that we bring to the market is. What we're doing is we are enabling the development of personalized therapies for diseases that one treatment does not work for all. And unfortunately, there's many, because for the last centuries, treatments have been developed based on this idea that the same medication will work equally for everyone. And for many diseases, this is not the case. I think we all experience it throughout our lives, going to the doctor, getting when treatment, when medication, and then we hear, okay, so let's try this therapeutic approach, and if it doesn't work, you come back to us, and hopefully we select another one that will work for you. So this is a challenge that we feel every day in our lives, and it's also a challenge for drug discovery and drug development. They're, again, very heterogeneous, complex diseases for which one treatment works for a very small set of the population, and if you try to apply it to the whole population, it will fail. That's the case with a lot of neurodegenerative diseases, and that's the case with diseases like Alzheimer's. So what Ilove really is doing to fight this is to build a cloud-based library filled with personalized biomarkers and biological profiles. So we're creating these robust optical fingerprints or digital twins of this personalized identification tools, these digital twins, to allow both the usage and the development of tailor-made personalized therapies to each biological profile. The aims with our platform was really to be minimally invasive and patient-centric. So we're using an AI approach that uses artificial intelligence algorithms and light and a photonics-based technology called a light-enabling technology called photonics. We are quite fast, and that allows also for a better patient experience overall in the clinic and during the trials, and we're quite low cost. Overall, what we're aiming to do is really to develop this new era of optical fingerprints as classification biomarkers, both as an aid for diagnostic or as prognosis tools. And so the specific use case that I'm sharing today, it's actually regarding a prognosis tool that we developed together with St. John's Hospital and the Faculty of Medicine in Porto. And then basically what we were able to create was a tool that at the point of diagnostic is able to stratify, to predict which patients are going to get very seriously ill against the patients that are going to get mild or moderate symptoms. So a clinical management tool. In this case, it was on the area of the COVID-19 pandemic. As we know, some patients react very differently from one another. And what we're able to do is to create an AI platform that captured the biological profiles of the patients when responding to the COVID-19 infection. We store it in our cloud-based library as another one of the models. We proved that it can be done. And yes, with a future goal of then helping physicians manage the ICU occupation and also the development of personalized treatments. So this is one of the cases of what Ilove has been doing in the last few months and years. We are also able to create these digital twins based on biomarkers, on single biomarkers, peptides, proteins, exosomes, or create these agnostic, abstract profiles, either of the way that the patients react differently to a disease. We have been very, very focused on working on neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's, or as tools for, again, clinical prognosis as the COVID-19 case I just presented. What sets us apart is that we are quite patient-centric. We don't damage the sample that we use, so we do this based on a small blood sample taken from the patient that can either be fresh or frozen. We're quite low cost, and we have this vision of using AI to accelerate the usage and the development of personalized therapeutics for many complex heterogeneous diseases. We have been doing this. We supported some amazing partners, hospitals, biotechs, pharmaceutical groups. We count with the support of also some leading investors like Microsoft Ventures, Mayfield, and of course, EIT Health. We are a team of more than 15 people based in Porto and in UK, in Oxford. And we have a dream of a future where we can revolutionize the way we develop and use personalized treatments, and while hopefully contributing to a better world where we all get the treatment we deserve. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luis. Ending on a very positive note, we hope you achieve that mission as well. Now moving on to our last speaker, João Diogo Ramos, CEO of Red Marker.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
We can hear you and we can see your presentation. Perfect.
Okay, excellent. So it's a pleasure to be here. So thanks for the invitation. We are here to talk about AI, artificial intelligence, and so it's important to recall that even though everyone talks about AI nowadays, AI is a very old concept. So it comes at least from the 50s, and it started obviously with the introduction of computing. Over the years, there have been a lot of achievements. There's been a lot of achievements, and obviously the fact that we have now self-driven cars from Tesla and many others obviously creates a hype around this. Sorry for this pause. I was just reading that you're not getting my video.
We don't see you. We don't see your face. We only see the presentation, which is fine for now. But please make sure that when you move on to the panel after your presentation, we can see your
yeah,
face.
of course, but it's activated. I was seeing it, so I don't know what's happening. Okay, but let's move on, and then we'll try to go. Okay, so bottom line, AI is here. There's an hype around it now, but it's here for a long time. And the company that I represent, so Red Marker, was created in the end of 2008. So we're probably one of the oldest teams working in AI present here today. And okay, who are we? Where do we come from? What do we do? So we're a spin-off from Critical Software, a known Portuguese software company. From the very beginning, we did a strategic partnership with IBLI, the Ophthalmology Research Institute created by Professor Cunha Vaz, an institute based in Coimbra and with a lot of involvement in research in Europe. We have one technology that I'm going to talk to you about, which is Red Marker screening, which is internationally and independently validated. And I'm referring to a study that was led by Moorfields Eye Hospital in the UK. We're a Class 2A medical device, which allows us to commercialize the solution in Europe. And we're also approved in Australia. Regarding Europe and regarding AI, and I'll tell you a little bit about what we do, but it's important that we don't forget what is the objective of such platforms. In our case, we look at disease from diabetic retinopathy, which is a consequence of diabetes. And it's very important because we need to be careful on how we apply AI. When I mentioned there that we are according to the Portuguese Direção-Geral de Saúde norms, what I mean is that AI can be used in certain situations, but without fully replacing humans. And so that's what we've been doing with our technology. There's a lot of other things that I could mention. The previous speaker spoke about biomarkers. We also started with a biomarker in ophthalmology for prognosis of diabetic retinopathy complications. We got some letters of support from the European Medicine Agency and some patents and all of that. But more important than that is to tell you that we have already around 500,000 real diabetics screened with our technology. So we're one of the oldest providers in this field of diabetic retinopathy screening. And we've been working, in the case of Portugal, we've been working with several of the regional health authorities that we call IRS. So in a glimpse, this is where we come from. So as I told you, we address diabetic retinopathy, which is a consequence of diabetes. And diabetes affects more than 400 million people in the world, and even more if you look at pre-diabetes and all of that. And it's very important to know that 50% of the diabetics are not diagnosed. And second, it's a very democratic disease because all the public personalities that you see there, like George Lucas, Tom Hanks, Salma Hayek, Theresa May, all of them are diabetics. And many times we don't know about it. So it can affect any of us. So we're addressing a real market opportunity here. There's the need to do periodic eye imaging to identify the patients that require treatment. To do that, you need training and trained and qualified personnel to do it, to do the photographs, to take the photographs, and then to do the analysis. And we will never have enough trained people to do this. So back in 2010 or 11, when we were looking at pivoting the company, changing a little bit what we were doing, we were thinking about this and we realized, okay, this is a problem that our AI technology can help to solve. Because we can reduce the burden of doing the screening of diabetic retinopathy. So how does this work? So the diabetics are summoned to go to a primary care facility. They are photographed with a specialized camera, fundus camera. Other people spoke about it before. The images are sent to a server, which can be cloud or local. They are analyzed by a red marker. Then some humans can look at the suspicious case, issue a report, and bottom line, refer the individuals that needed to go to the hospital to be treated. Then, if I had to choose, and 5 minutes is nothing, but if I had to choose a couple of things to explain to you on things that we need to consider when we implement an AI project in real life, I would choose these ones which are specific for diabetic retinopathy screening. So I'm talking about the methodology, imaging, management, and human resources. And what I mean is this. Methodology is about, okay, who are the patients that we're going to screen, which grading scale we're going to use, where are the positive cases referred to because they need to be treated afterwards. Imaging is all about which fundus cameras we choose, which ones work better or not, how do we train the technicians to do it, all those details. Where do we archive the images? Is there a picture archiving system, a PACS or not? All of that. Management is very important because we don't want information silos. So we need to integrate any AI system with the rest of the world. So for example, in Portugal, there's a solution from another company, from First Solutions, a software called CIMA, which is using the screening of any kind of screening in this country. So what this means is that we had to interface our system with theirs to ensure that we get the data from their system and we send whatever is needed from the red marker AI into that main system that then the general practitioner, the family doctor, can use to report back the patient. But if I had to choose one thing which is decisive for a good implementation of AI, it would be human resources. And what I mean is this. There's a lot of individuals involved in setting up and implementing an AI project. Family doctors, administrative assistants, camera operators, the AI technology, the human graders, the retinal experts in the hospital that will treat the individual, the patient itself, of course. So we need to make them understand how everything works, because this works as a kind of, let's say, a pipeline, and everyone needs to understand the impact of what they do in the rest of the process. And that's something that we've been doing with our customers with success, I would say. In terms of other challenges or key success factors to implementing an AI system, I would say data, access to data, and guidance, clinical guidance. That's essential. In our case, it was mainly from the collaboration with IBLE, even though we work with other institutes and entities in the world. So that's one thing. Second thing, humans. Humans are essential to be able to adopt an AI system. Humans are obviously, normally, we are all afraid of changes. So we need to introduce change management, because I remember when we start coming up with the solutions like this, all the doctors were afraid that we were going to take their job. And nowadays, we don't, for you to have an idea, we don't even work that much with ophthalmologists. We work much more with endocrinologists, with family doctors, so people that need to send the diabetics to be treated. The other thing is clinical. There are clinical concerns with the adoption of an AI system. And if we're talking about deep learning, which is the most recent, let's say, hype in AI, because of several advantages it has, it also has sometimes a drawback, which is it works as a kind of a black box. So it's hard for you to explain why you said that patient was a positive case or something like that. So you need to find ways to overcome that. And there are a few, and we've been implementing it, of course. And the other is technical. And this is something that splits real life from many times the preliminary research that we all do. We also did it. And which is, there are constraints, for example, like many times companies or hospitals don't want to send data abroad or to a cloud server. So you need to do a local installation. If you do a local installation of a deep learning system, then you need to handle things like you're exposing your technology in a way that probably you don't want to do. So again, you need to find ways to overcome these kind of challenges. But this is part of implementing an AI system. And so in a very, very brief way, this is what I had prepared. I tried to address some of the challenges and the things we learned from implementing our systems. Sorry for the lack of video. I'll try to sort it out for the discussion. And my contact is there. If anyone has a question and we don't talk today, I'm available to answer it. Thank you.
Perfect, Jean-Pierre. Thank you very much. So we've had now the showcase of 7 very innovative projects from Portugal regarding artificial intelligence in healthcare. Thank you very much for following us. I hope you found them interesting. They definitely are still somewhere to go. I'm sure we'll hear talking about them in the future and being even more successful than they are nowadays. And we're going to move on to a brief discussion with 4 of the panelists that, of the project that you've just seen. So we're going to go on, well, not on mute, but there's going to be a few seconds of a pause, and then we'll be back on to discuss this. Thank you very much. Okay, so now we are back. Thank you very much for watching this session with us. So we're back here on the EIT Health conference, virtual conference on artificial intelligence in healthcare, a perspective from Portugal. So we are here in the Innovators Challenges panel session, and we have with us here Maria Vasconcelos from a researcher at Fraunhofer. We have Luís Valent, CEO at Ilove. We have João Diogo Ramos, CEO from Red Market, and last but not least, João Pedro Ribeiro, CEO at Pikmed. So we are here with some people who have had the opportunity and the experience of launching their products into the market. And I will start with the latest person who just spoke and presented their product, and even mentioned about pivoting as well at some point. So João from Red Market, I want to ask you, what have been the biggest hurdles for you and your company in taking your products to the market? And this is a 20-minute session, so I'm going to ask each one of you to be pretty brief in your answers. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the question, David. I talk a lot, so feel free to interrupt. And the hurdles are a lot of them, of course. Look, we started very early in this area, so many of the things we tried to do, for example, there was no one talking about deep learning back then, so we started with machine learning. Machine learning takes a lot of time to generate results compared to the new trend. So that's one thing. But I would say the technology was not the major issue. One thing that it was not the hurdle, but the biggest advantage was the access to data back in the early days. That was fundamental. I would say the human factor is the biggest challenge, because for example, nowadays I saw the presentations and the involvement of SPMS in so many projects. I can tell you many years ago we tried to do many of those things and we couldn't. We were one of the first companies to approach Infarmed in Portugal and talk about medical devices. So all of that was new. And that made it very, very hard. Then things took more time than we expected, and that's why we pivoted the company, because we started with biomarker, a research tool, which now is a research tool, something that has a lot of potential, but took more time than needed. And then we needed to understand where the immediate market was, and that's when we realized screening made a lot of sense because there was a need. So I would say the acceptance of AI as a new tool and not one that will take jobs of everyone was very difficult many years ago. It's very good now because we have Google and Facebook and everyone doing AI, and that helps.
Okay, perfect. That was quite pragmatic, so don't worry, you didn't waste too much time in answering the question. And it's interesting what you're saying, because the ecosystem is very different nowadays, right? Because of everything that's happened in Portugal, entrepreneurship, acceleration programs, this collaboration that you see, and as you were mentioning, SPMS and others, hospitals are much more willing to do pilots, right? And to try new technologies, even though there's still a long way to go. There's resistance to change into new technology. That's part of, as you mentioned before, part of the human being, right? If you don't know something, you're gonna be against it until you understand it. But that's not just in Portugal. Trust me, I've worked in different countries, and we're human beings everywhere across the world. So it's pretty much the same. So now I'm going to move on to Jean-Pierre Rivera, CEO of Pikmed. Jean-Pierre, tell me, because from what you've shown as well in your presentation just before, you've at a very early stage you've decided to go international. So my question to you is, and also to the rest of the audience to be aware, is Portugal a big enough market? And has your strategy been to be first Euro focused, because obviously we're talking under the EIT Health umbrella, or have you just gone after the main markets?
So yeah, thank you, David, for the question. So I believe that Portugal is a very good market for you to trial technologies, for you to test your product. So in our case, just to create some context here, so there are roughly 1,100 or 1,200 orthopedic surgeons in Portugal. So compared with what you can have, for example, in Germany with the 10,000. So it's really interesting to use Portugal as a testing or a piloting country in order to quickly test your technology, test your product, test the market, and then change and adapt according to the feedback that you are getting. Then kind of the two markets to be in my opinion, would be Europe and United States. Then we started to move, or as soon as we focused more on an international market, which was almost like from day zero, we started to look over the European market because we had some connections there, some connections, for example, in Italy, some connections in Germany, in Spain as well. So we were able to quickly start having this initial discussions and initial partnerships with those companies throughout Europe. Now we are focusing more in the US market because it is the main market. It's in our vertical, so orthopedic procedures or orthopedic surgery, most of the corporates are located there, at least the headquarters. You may have some offices for product development or for marketing efforts here in Europe, but the headquarters, the decision makers, are in the other side of the Atlantic, in the United States. So I would say in a nutshell that if you are starting a business, if you are starting a technology or a product and you want to test it, go in Portugal, because you will get very quickly the feedback and the almost immediate insight of the market. Then when you want to start selling and start making some money out of it, then go to Europe or the United States already. So then it's more of a business decision. But in the beginning, I would suggest to start with the Portuguese market, because you can have a meeting with the surgeon tomorrow. So you can schedule a meeting with the whole hospital in a week, instead of trying and emailing through weeks or months until they have something outside of the country.
Perfect. It makes total sense, Jean-Pierre. Thank you very much for your answer. And now moving on to Luis Valent from Ilove. I'm directing pretty much the same question to you, even though Jean-Pierre Rivera has had a sort of a longer history and a track record and staying more time in Portugal than moving abroad. Ilove, in your case, you are somehow, should I say, like a far-fetched? We're not sure if you're based in UK or in Portugal. You're a little bit of both. But anyways, it's more regarding your strategy between Portugal and going international. What is your view on this?
Thanks, David. I mean, it's really a trade-off, right? I mean, in Portugal, you have amazing talent, you have amazing people, and you have the opportunity of building huge projects and products. The problem is that, I mean, as a market to sell your products, and even as a market to attract capital and key partners, it's limited. It is what it is. I mean, we're a 10 million person country. We cannot compete with larger ecosystem. It just is what it is. So with Ilove, since the start, what we realize is that if we're gonna build something massive that's going to influence the lives of millions of people all over the world, I mean, this is not a one-person job, and it's also not a one-country job. So from an initial stage, we assumed that we would have to have severe and strong international presence, and we chose to actually relocate part of our team to outside Portugal, to the UK, which is today our official base. So we are officially a UK company, although I would say 90 or 95% of our team is actually based in Portugal. So in a way, you can say that this is the far-fetched way and the way of many other, successful deep tech or tech companies that they're born from Portugal, from great ideas and great persons in Portugal, but with the aim of, in a way, influencing the lives of millions of people all over the world. I think it's possible to do both, really. And not only Farfetch, a lot of other companies prove that. Venium proves that. Sword Health proves that. A lot of companies are proving that, and we're just following on the footsteps of those great companies.
It makes total sense, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you, Luis. Now moving on to Maria. Maria, you're representing a company for an offer, which is a German company, but it has had a big presence in the Portuguese ecosystem and helping a lot of startups, especially from in the healthcare sector. So would you say that, we were talking about partnerships, how important they are, would you say that a partnership with an institution like Fraunhofer can really help startups take a bigger leap and be more successful in the market?
Fraunhofer, we are a research institute. We are not a company itself. We create our technology and aim to put in the market through the industry. That's why startups can be a nice way to go. We can have it both, also to have the trials, as Jean-Pierre Rivera has said. It's important. It's good to have trials in Portugal. It's easy to approach. Either we are talking in health, either the end users, the doctors, the nurses, different end users, but also in the companies. Portuguese companies are easy to access, independently if it's a big company or a startup. It depends on the way they want to go. We are not aiming directly for startups or big companies, but we try to help them all.
Perfect, Maria. And indeed, I think the involvement of these bigger institutes or companies, or even the Ministry of Health through SPMS, for instance, and through also acceleration programs, as I was mentioning before, hospitals who are willing to test new products and do pilots as well. I think, again, Portugal is indeed a very small market, but it could be seen almost like an agile market in the sense that, as João-Pedro Rivera was saying before, you can very quickly schedule meetings with the nearby hospital from where you live or where your company is to test, to make sure it works, to get the clinical, technical, IT even feedback on your solution. But then when it comes to selling, there's no other option unless if you go abroad and you try to sell abroad to really create an impact. And I see that most of the startups and projects that are here have done that, and so I congratulate you on this openness and even taking advantage of acceleration programs that link you with other countries, other regions. And this is why also EIT Health has been playing such an important part in our own ecosystem and opening doors to other countries. We have a question from the audience. Let me see. Oh, from Celia Cruz. So Celia is asking, what is the most challenging part of engaging a healthcare institution, reaching healthcare professionals or hospital clinic administrations? I could answer that, but I'm gonna let someone from if I'll either choose randomly, or if someone wants to take a step forward and answer this question, feel free, or raise your hand. Maybe
I can go if you want.
That's Jean-Pierre Rivera.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Jean-Pierre Rivera
from Pikmed here. So it's a very interesting topic, and I think that the main challenge is really to engage, or to have both parties engage. So I think on one hand, you can get the meeting with the surgeon or with the healthcare professional in general, and I think that you can also have the meeting with someone from the administration, and get both hooked up to what you are doing. I think most of the times the challenge is to get both of them to speak to each other. So you can get the positive feedback from the healthcare professional saying, this is good to us, let's talk with the administration. And then you can go to the administration and have a positive feedback saying, yeah, we should implement this, let's talk with the decision maker in the end, which is always the healthcare professional. I think the challenge is to have them, both of them, to reach out to each other so we can have this triangle actually working. And I think that's the main challenge that we are facing today in the national healthcare system, is to have surgeons or healthcare professionals in general to speak to the management. And I think that's the main challenge that we are facing today, which in the end is making innovation a bit harder than it should be, because again, you can have all the good feedback, but until you reach the point when both parties are engaging with each other, then it takes a bit more time. I think that's the main challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that sounds pretty much it. And obviously making sure that the people from the hospitals, they reply to your emails and to your contacts, right? Apart from that, that's the first hurdle. Then you have the other ones of really matching together. Does anyone want to add anything to what Jean-Pedro said?
And just a quick thing. I believe if the need exists, they will answer the emails and engage with us. Mm-hmm. It's all about the needs and the update processes.
Mm-hmm. And I totally agree with you, Mariana. I think I'll add the other side of what you're saying. It's nowadays, luckily, I think people already have a big open enough mindset to accept innovation and new technology, and to at least hear them out and see what they can do. The question is also the maturity of the startup on the other side, to make sure they sort of understand what is the win-win situation for the other side, right? Because if you don't show, I'm not saying straight away a business case, right, where they can improve and who knows, like improve their processes or even get a new revenue stream, etc. But at least so they understand what's in it for them, right? This is very important, and this is how you're going to grab their attention as well. So I think we're pretty much out of time. Thank you very much, guys, for this very interesting discussion. I'm wishing you best of luck in your in your endeavors. That sounds like the end of an email, but anyways, this is now virtual, and we have to get used to these sort of closures. Thank you again, EIT Health, for this opportunity. We've seen very interesting projects in the AI space for healthcare, and we've discussed some of the challenges, but one thing is true and is key. It's also thanks to partnerships that we end up having a wider reach, more of an impact, and even learning from our own lessons and reaching out to bigger goals. So best of luck again to all of it, and seeing you afterwards for the next session, and enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, David. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Boa tarde.
Boa tarde.
Boa tarde.
Desculpem lá aqui o meu atraso tecnológico.
Hello, everyone. Sorry about this. We are late. So welcome to this session about the Portuguese healthcare system and how is it or not prepared to integrate and scale new technologies. And to talk about these issues and about all these challenges, we have three guests. The first is Filipe Fisch from Glint. Filipe is the executive board member in Glint. Then we have Alexandre Lourenço from Centro Hospitalário Universitário de Coimbra, who is the healthcare manager and a PhD candidate. Is it right? And then we have António Murta, managing partner at Patena, who is an investor. And my first question is to Filipe. And I wanted to know more about the projects you are developing in Glint and how you are using artificial intelligence technology to work in the health sector, and of course in ANF and the pharmacies, of course. So if you can talk a little bit about what you are doing and how do you start to build this technology inside the company, and now you are scaling this technology you are creating right now.
Thank you, Mariana, and good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for the EIT Health for the invitation to be here today. Hello, Alexandre, and hello, Antonio. It's really nice to be here with you today. So when you talk about technology, I think we live in a world that before this pandemic crisis was already virtual, digital, and we like it, and we use it. All these technologies in our smartphone, in our daily life. And before the pandemic, I think we were just talking about these emergent technologies like 3D impressing in 3D, or having blockchain, or having a different kind of approach to the data that we have inside the different sectors of activity. And when we look to the healthcare, we usually have the difficulty to collect data and then get information and then get the knowledge. So with this pandemic, I think we all understand that we have with us technology that we call emergent, but we are using it nowadays, so it's not anymore emergent. But how can we use this in the healthcare sector? So we don't miss technology inside hospitals or primary care or organizations. We need to, as we said 20 years ago, to focus this on citizens before they get sick and after they get sick. So when we look to the citizen journey, we need to understand that technology is already being used, and we like to use this technology before we get sick, and we need to make sure that this technology help us to be more active and take care of our well-being before get sick. But when you get a disease, we need to be treated, and the most accurate and the most difficult treatments have to be done inside the hospital, but afterwards you should be at home. So we need to have a place where we can be monitored at a distance without being inside a healthcare unit. And for that, we need to have technology. And technology can start from the point that we have digital electronic medical records. And then we have to integrate all this data to be available for doctors, for nurses, and for the citizen. And we need to have the devices that can collect data from ourselves. And one of the projects that we are nowadays developing, for instance, is that we are developing a new electronic skin, if I can say like this, that you can attach to our skin and collect a set of data And we are doing this together with American universities and with Hospital Universitário de Coimbra, that Alexandre is the focal point on this major hospital, so that we can monitorize the patients in the hospital, and then afterwards at home with this patch to collect all the data that we need from the patients, and then be monitorized at a distance, like a central monitoring system that can help us to monitorize, for instance, chronic patients, oncologic patients, so different kind of activities. One of the other projects that we are nowadays developing and is that when you look to inside an hospital, you have very, very different categories of meds and medical devices that you need to plan and anticipate the needs that you need to have inside your hospital. And we are doing this by machine learning and putting an algorithm on the data that hospital have in order to predict the kind of meds and the medical device that we need to have in advance, in order to make sure that we don't run out of stock of that type of medication, for instance. And this, of course, allows us to decrease the amount of euros that you need to have on the budget, but also we can allow to have more time for the decision makers to plan in advance and have more time for dedicated to the healthcare activities that have to be done, and not on defining budgets and looking to Excels every day. So these are two examples where we are collecting data, analyzing the data, and then with machine learning and AI, we are also using this data to promote better healthcare and to get more efficiency into the health units.
Mm-hmm.
Another project that we have launched also with Alexandre was also with the Association of Associação de Administradores Hospitalares Portugueses, and that we have developed a tool so that the managers of the health units can plan in advance the number of resources, either human or physical ones, for anticipate the needs that we are going to have on the next week, on the next month, for this COVID crisis. So I think Alexandre also speak about that, but these are some of the examples that we are nowadays developing based on technology and on these emergent technologies, if I can say.
Okay, thank you, Filipa. And now, Alexandre, we were talking about Filipa. Was talking about the creation of the technology, but we have to talk also about the integration of the technology, and of course, in hospitals. So, how are we now incorporating this technology in the hospitals in Portugal, and how do they use this technology in a daily basis?
No, thank you for the invitation to speak a little bit and to discuss this relevant topic. Also with Glint, we have a major project that we released last year, and that is a barometer relating to the adoption of artificial intelligence and e-health. And actually in that barometer, we got some good results from the hospital, saying that we have some sort of an implementation, nearly 40% of at least some pilots or some initiative related to artificial intelligence. I believe that is a very, very positive way of putting things, but I really believe that we still have lots of barriers to implement this kind of projects. First of all, and even in that barometer, what we realize is that there are several resistances to the process. Namely, we don't have at the hospitals data scientists. Even the technology infrastructure is still lagging behind from our expectations. There are financial constraints. Even we can say that we don't have a real process of full digitalization where we could build on big data projects and where artificial intelligence will use that data to provide results. So there are several resistances, and even I must say that I don't see this as a strategic priority for the Ministry of Health. And in that sense, one of the issues that we have been struggling is to create this idea that innovation is needed and should be a priority for the healthcare system, namely from digitalization to this digital transformation to artificial intelligence. And in that sense, I think we are lagging behind, even though there are some, we can say, anecdotal experiences in some hospitals. For example, we have in Hospital São João in Porto, one of the very nice initiative, for example, with Age Vital, that is a system that can predict, for example, the risk for nosocomial infections or other projects. Even the ones that Filipe and I think Clint is quite engaged is in advanced analytics, with helping hospitals on operational management. I think in that sense there are some projects more related with machine learning, not in deep learning. I think we have some that kind of projects in, but still there are lots of space to grow. And we count on, of course, on the international startups, but also international ones that could help us change the way that we are providing care.
Mm-hmm. And how can, for example, a startup can start to engage and to present the ideas or a pilot to an hospital in Portugal, for example?
No, actually, we are still, not all hospitals, but some hospitals are starting to have this kind of innovation offices that can be contacted to test this technology. I think there are several projects that are going on also related with collaborative labs. And also even with ITL, for example, is a good example where startups are developing products and testing products with hospitals within the network. And one thing that is quite positive, for example, within EIT Health is that we have two hospitals at this moment, Coimbra University Hospital and the Lisbon North Hospital. And those hospitals can open doors also to test technology in other European hospitals. So in that sense, there is a door to test and to work with startups, and also a big door to test at a broader European level.
So what we have to change is in some way is the mindset we use to look at these technologies and to see what's the opportunity, right?
I believe more than that. So we really need professionalization of this kind of innovation offices. We need to think that we need innovation managers to support this cooperation between hospitals and industry. And after that, we need this idea of a strategic thinking where hospitals, but not only hospitals, but primary care, social services, municipalities can work together in this kind of projects. One of the projects that Filippo was mentioning, that is WOW, that's a very great name for a project, is something that we are working on, and what we expect is to promote remote monitoring. So in that sense, it's not only in the physical space of the hospital that we need to work, but also at home to deliver this kind of hospital at home kind of solutions. So I really believe that this one, professionalization of innovation and creating and having the opportunity to create these offices, creating also infrastructure where we can test for living labs, test beds initiatives within the hospitals. And I'm not talking only one hospital or two hospitals. I'm talking about hospitals, primary care, social services, and municipalities. This kind of infrastructure will, I believe, create this kind of ecosystem that can be innovation friendly, and where we can make really the difference. Because some of the solutions that we have notions, and some of the startups that contact us, actually they have amazing solutions integrating all the ecosystem. But at this point, the ecosystem is very, very fragmented. So those kind of solutions will not work in our ecosystem. So what we need to create is this kind of collaborative approaches where we can test solutions that will take the health system to another step.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Alexandre. Antonio, you've been an investor for the last, I don't know how many years, but lots of years, and you invested very much in projects related to health and technology. So how you can describe this process to hear about and to see new projects in this sector? And what's your vision in this topic, and how can you advise your investments on scaling these technologies in hospitals?
So first of all, I'm very excited to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation. For the audience, just to share, I have investments in 3 companies in Portugal in this space, 2 in Finland, one in Germany, and 1 in Sweden. So I'm exposed to Europe in the sense of digital health, digital therapeutics, and pharmatech. I'm also a part of Catapult for Health Scale-Up Digital Health Program as a jury, which means that I have visibility of a lot of deal flow across Europe. I'm in a position to compare, which is always good. I do agree with Alexandre when he says that we're lagging behind. Mainly compared to Switzerland or Germany or Poland, not even to mention the UK because they're far away. But obviously, we also have an exciting ground of new startups that can actually make a difference. So, in terms of seeing companies in this space, I have to say that I'm at the intersection between IT and medicine at this stage, probably more close to medicine than to IT. IT is just a tool, nothing else. But a powerful tool, especially with deep tech. And I think that the most important thing that I find actually seeing a lot of companies in this space is that you find a sense of purpose that you don't find in many other investment spaces. By sense of purpose, I mean saving people's lives. Yesterday, I spent the whole morning with a brain imaging company that basically saves 20 minutes in discovering the problems of an image of the brain. Now, when you have a trauma and you have to be analyzed with a CT scan, time is brain. If you save 5 minutes, you can save actually the motricity of a person. Simply put, because you gave the doctors time for them to act. Now, that's the relevance of deep tech. Deep tech is going to change literally the practice of medicine in the next few years. We are still in the early days, but I certainly feel very excited by the prospects of what that one can see. There's a lot of companies that need to be more professional. Some are too close to science. Some don't have enough clinical exposure. Some are not well guided from an IP protection standpoint. There's a mix of everything. There are very few that do everything well. But basically, we certainly can see a big opportunity in healthcare in Europe. Bear in mind that one of the few things in which Europe does lead the world is actually in pharma and also in health. If we pick the sectors in which Europe leads the world, we would pick probably automotive, food, health, and pharma. Certainly not IT. And if we really care about protecting the GDP of Europe, because the whole domain of biology, including medicine, is going to be digitalized in the next few years, we better become professional at this intersection between IT and medicine, because this is going to be pivotal. Just to give you an example, I'm about to invest, I'm in DD of a digital therapeutics company in a chronic disease space. I cannot share because I'm under NDA, but this therapeutics company substitutes a drug with better outcomes and lower lateral effects than a drug. Now, this is already prescribed by a Nordic National Health Service, and actually, the patient only pays 15% of the cost of the treatment. We're talking about a chronic disease with 20% prevalence and 10% severe prevalence. That's big, which means that basically the whole landscape of what we call drug companies. I normally say that drug companies in the future will not sell only drugs, they will sell drugs, they will sell digital software, and they will also sell cells. The three things will be the products and the outcomes of shall we say, pharma companies. I'm very excited to play in this space, and I certainly am delighted to have the opportunity to participate in some of these companies, because it's mind-boggling in some cases. For example, with a brand company that I was mentioning just now, we're talking about seeing what human eye cannot see. So, for example, with COVID, we know that we have small hemorrhagic events at the brain that cannot be seen by the human eye, yet machine learning algorithms see them. Now, that's important because we can complement the human eye of the doctor and help him. That's why I'm excited and actually very pleased to be in this space.
Thank you, Antonio. You were talking about the pandemic situation, and I didn't want to focus on that, but of course we have to talk about that and about the challenges and the differences between before March and now. So, what has changed in your vision about the market? And of course on the behavior of these companies and these partners when you decide to invest or not to invest in a new technology on hospitals, in big companies as Glint, or as an investor like you, Antonio. It's for the three of you.
But can only contribute with, we're here together in a virtual event. We wouldn't be here in a virtual event probably if we were not used to it by now.
Yes.
I don't travel to Lisbon anymore. I used to be 2 days in Lisbon. Most of the times I do it from home, okay? Because there's trust with the people that I work with. They know me, I know them. Why would I spend 7 hours on a car?
Mm-hmm.
It's stupid. It's not very clever.
Does it change? Sorry. Does it change the relationship between you and the people you relate to?
When you are already, when you have a deep relationship with the person that we work with, it doesn't. When you don't, obviously, it's not the same thing. When you want to create a relationship, to be close with social beings, and certainly, I think that as soon as we can, we will go back to be social beings because we love it. And by the way, that's great. One of these days, I had a virtual toast over Zoom. It's not the same thing. They were drinking another wine. I was drinking. We did it because it was the only way to do it. But it's not the same thing like having a bottle of wine and us behind the table.
Yes.
I'm saying this because I'm a Southern European. I like it. But I want to stress that obviously what changed was that, and I'm talking about health, people are afraid of going to hospitals. Actually, probably they should be aware of that even before, because the number of multi-resistant bacteria events kills more people than car accidents, 7 times more people than car accidents. And people are not aware of that. But by now, I think that with COVID, I think that we became much more aware of all these things. Now, as a result of that, we had to adapt. A lot of that has been negative because, as you know, we have huge delays that actually are causing severe problems because simply put, we don't have capacity to handle it all. and we have to prioritize, which is absolutely fair and respected. But on the other side, I think also that we will never go back to the same situation. Let me explain a little bit what I mean by this. 5% of the budget of health systems is devoted to prevention, 95% to curative stuff, which means hospitals. Acute care is really the mother of the budget. I think that's going to change. I think that chronic care is really not being handled properly these days. We simply don't have proper systems to follow chronic patients. We say that we follow them, but we don't. It's actually a lie that we do. We don't. And we have millions of chronic patients. Actually, 70% of the costs of the systems are related to 6 pathologies that are all chronic. And by now, we see that there are mechanisms to follow patients. You've seen that, for example, Teladoc is now enormous. They've acquired Livongo, and I think they've proved already that they can do medicine at enormous scale with a very high productive environment. I think that all chronic diseases will be changed fundamentally. We will implement disease management programs that will use virtual tools like the one that we're using right now. And I think that will be exciting, because for many, many years, we've designed systems all around acute care. And that's fine, because we need that, for example, in this case, because for an infectious contagious pathology like this, thank God we have acute care that is excellent. But in normal times, calling these abnormal times, which at least very strange times, I think that we will need to reconsider the balance between chronic and acute care, because it's out of balance.
We have here a question from the audience, from Beatriz Cruz, which asks, does AI can help on early diagnosis of COVID-19? Alexandre, if you can answer this.
I can, at least I can help. Actually, in the beginning of the pandemic, we developed a very nice project of, and actually it was driven by the European Commission. And as you know, we had problems in laboratorial diagnosis, lack of reagents, lack of personnel, and we introduced mostly an AI software just to analyze chest CT scans. So with that, we were able not to wait, and we needed to wait 4, 5, 6 hours for a laboratorial diagnosis. And with the CT scan, we were able to diagnose this quite quickly. So we could do the triage from a regular respiratory infection from a COVID. So in that sense, it was quite nice. In Portugal, we tested in São João hospital in Porto. That was our major provider. It was the first line hospital, but it was used in different European hospitals. And actually, it was interesting because it was the European Commission that was pushing for that project. But that was a very, very nice process. Nowadays, I really don't know. I believe that still we don't have confidence, for example, in some sort of algorithms. And they are not being used to COVID. We need to have more tests. But in that sense, in the beginning with this kind of chest CT scans, it was quite helpful due to our problems in laboratorial diagnosis. I don't know, Antonio or Felipe, if you know anything that is being used for COVID-19 besides this.
I can complement with one of my participated companies. I'm not going to name it for the sake of publicity. It feels wrong, but basically they are a symptom checker that is used by 1/3 of the population in Finland. They saved before the COVID 14% of false emergencies in hospitals. So basically, we installed that in every primary care center around a major hospital, and that, as a result of that, because of self-service, would reduce the severity, they would reduce abnormal use of emergencies, which is a major, shall we say, mistake, a major error that we all commit. Even the Finns do it. Now, this, as you may imagine, given the circumstances and the number of calls that every major national service had, and this algorithm was obviously developed by doctors to implement the mechanisms of diagnosis that we all use in Manchester triage, this kind of thing. It was also more oriented to primary care. The outcome of the algorithm would be very simple. Is this serious enough for you to go to an hospital? If it is, you have to go. If it is not, you should go to a primary care center. If it is even lighter, you go to a pharmacy. This algorithm is very effective, 95%, 99% safe, which is pretty good. And at the request of the doctors, we've actually developed a tool specifically for COVID questions. Okay. As a result of this tool, we diminished the pressure on the Saúde 24 equivalent line in Finland, and we were able that people would actually self-serve, which was very important because they would not depend on anyone and they would just follow a very simple pathway of questions and they would get a self-diagnosis, which would give them peace of mind. It worked pretty well.
Actually, I don't know if I can enter this topic, because actually there are several algorithms that are being used, I don't know, in Israel, for example, in the United States, but actually we continue to have some resistance at European level. I don't know if, what is your opinion on this? Because there are several of them that are already tested for several ecosystems, or at least economic spaces, areas, but not in Europe. What is your opinion on this?
I can only tell you my experience of using this in England, in Finland, and if all goes well, it will be used also in Portugal pretty soon. Now in Finland, as you know, Finland has parts of Finland that are very remote, and actually doctors are not widely available in these zones. So this all started by difficulties in mobility that would be actually protecting people to guarantee that they would be safe. Now, this was so successful in doing so that primary care that is owned by municipalities, they don't have IRS North, Centro, and Sul. All municipalities own the population risk, and so the municipalities are responsible for allocating the budget. And they started installing these. People loved it because they actually got help, professional help, medical help in an automatic way. The communication was also well orchestrated to not frighten people, which is very important also, as any doctor would know. And it was so successful that it started also going to the primary care, to the early stage of Manchester triage of the hospital. So like a pre-screening process, so that you would send away people that shouldn't be there. Now, it worked pretty well. In England, by now, NHS is actually using this also in the primary care centers. And we are also providing them. We have competitors, we are competing with others, but this is becoming normal, I would say. In Germany, the law has been designed around this to guarantee that.
We are talking mostly about chatbots, no? Something like
no, I'm talking actually about a system in which you declare your symptoms by pointing to the zone of the body. Very simple. You point to the zone of the body where you have either symptoms or whatever. Then you have a set of questions. You choose. The whole dialogue is guided by the automatic system. You provide answers by selecting, shall we say, the choices or the several choices that you have. You may have several symptoms. It's a symptom generated system. And then the outcome is not given to you. What is given to you is one of three things. You either instructed that you should go to an hospital, or you actually are instructed to go to a primary care center, or if it is very simple, actually you should go to a pharmacy and ask for help on this. This kind of thing, not more.
We have here another question from the audience, but we are running on time, so Out time. What from Mike? What are the ethical and moral frameworks we can work with to guide us in implementing AI for health in a way that is ethical and will not harm?
Very good question.
No, and actually there are several PhD theses on this.
Can this be the reason of the resistance, for instance, or?
No, I think that could be a barrier that we have to maintain in our head. And I think United States and Europe are defining a legal framework, an ethical framework for this to go ahead. And of course, we have to be very careful with that, because science and this kind of technology always has these two sides, and it's scary. I was discussing this last night. It's scary that the machine can have conscience and decide. So, but I think the ethical and the legal framework for this has to be put in place, and the European Commission has launched this with a plan for a strategic adherence of artificial intelligence within the European nations. And it's also a thing that we have to keep in mind, but we have to go forward. But I think one of the main barriers is that we cannot just put technology on top of the healthcare units. We need, as Alexandre was saying in the beginning, we need to have a framework, a reference architecture, a reference for process. We need to have training for the professionals, for the citizens, for the managers, or else it's very difficult just to understand what we are talking about and how we can start this process. Because advanced analytics or machine learning or artificial intelligence, we need to understand what is it and what are the prerequisites to apply this. So I think when you look to Europe, or when you look to Asia or America, United States, you see that you see different maturities, but this is not just the maturity of technology. I think we need to have this cultural change, and this framework of process has to be redefined in order to make sure that we can adopt the technology. And we have a lot of pilots. We have professionals, healthcare professionals, technology professionals that are very high skilled in Portugal. I'm sure of that. And we compare with the best ones in Europe, in the United States. But we need to make sure that we can go and have critical mass to go in Portugal and outside Portugal. So I think this has to be keep it in mind. But of course, the basis for adopting technology has also to be changed. We cannot just drop technology and hope for the best.
Mm-hmm. So my last question would be the issue of this panel. Is the Portuguese health system ready to scale artificial intelligence and other technologies? Who wants to start?
I think that you can do better than we're doing right now. There are, like Alexandre, I agree with Alexandre. Alexandre said it all a moment ago when he said that we had nuggets, small nuggets that are good. I have an excellent relationship as an investor with the University of Minho, also because the CMO of Pathina is also the president of the Faculty of Medicine of Minho. And obviously that is great, absolutely great. Is that very common? I don't think so. For example, I love Agavital, that was just mentioned a moment ago. I would like to see Agavital used in more hospitals. Why isn't Agavital used in more hospitals? I don't get it. I really don't get it, because it's so bloody good.
But how can we start this process on building a different mindset or a different framework to
you see, the first problem that we have is this, that we have two communities. The community of the practitioners of medicine and the community of IT people, much less powerful in hospitals. In hospitals, obviously, IT is irrelevant. Doctors are relevant. Now, today, most hospitals all use IT systems, what they call IT systems, normally governed by IT, what they call IT, is non-clinical. There's more IT in clinical today than in non-clinical, except it's embedded. Now, the two worlds are not yet connected. They are being connected as we speak. And in the next few years, clinical IT, clinical-driven IT, is going to be much more important than boring IT, okay? And so I would dare to say that actually the bridge between the two worlds is really important. Now, do we have data scientists? Will we be able to afford data scientists in hospitals? I don't think so, quite honestly. They will be so expensive that they will not be able to be affordable. But I think that we will have to have gateways, anonymization gateways, to guarantee that we are safe from a privacy standpoint, that connect us to several AI-powered solutions in brain, in cardiology, in psychiatry, whatever, that extend our capability from a productivity standpoint and also from a safety standpoint. I believe that we can do so. I believe that, for example, the national system having an SPMS, a shared facility, could be in a good position to normalize this kind of stuff. And I also think that some of the private chains, if they don't do it, they will actually not be doing the best for their patients, and they should.
Anything to add?
From my side, I see the innovation and not only the adoption of artificial intelligence as a tool to change the way that we provide care, or at least to improve the way that we provide care. And I believe that is common to all of us, that the way that we are providing care is inefficient and safe and reliable. And actually, it was a system that was mostly developed for, as Antonio was saying previously, to acute diseases. And mostly our mindset continues to be there. Even though what I believe, and in that sense, what we need is technology, and I think it will help us to change the way that we are providing care. So in 10 years, we are going to see a different healthcare system, more technological, but mostly more patient-centered. Because that's what technology will give us, is patient-centeredness. So we are moving from a system that is provider-centered to, and even sometimes technological-centered, to a system that will be more client-based, patient-centered. And I really, for our audience, and probably there are several startups on this, please think in a way that we can change and allow us to do this kind of frog leaps and this movement forward in the way that we provide care. We don't need technology to help us do what we are doing at this moment. We need technology to help us to do differently in a more efficient, more patient-centered. So what I believe really is that this amazing tool and these technological developments will allow us really to be much more patient-centered and to deliver much better outcomes.
Thank you, Alexandre. Thank you, Filipa, and thank you, Antonio. It was a great pleasure to speak to you, and I have a great holidays, I guess, because I don't think we can see us before that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Pleasure.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Hello again. Here we are for the next channel session about how can healthcare network support artificial intelligence innovation. And we have 4 guests here with me. We have Joana Feijó from the Health Cluster Portugal, Miguel Amador from EIT Health, Paulo Nunes de Abreu, from a founder of Digital Health Portugal, and finally Ana Rita Londral, director from the Value for Health Co-Lab. So my first questions go to Joana, because Joana is leading the bigger cluster on health in Portugal. How can this ecosystem work on communities' behalf? And how do you do it with your project, with your community?
Sorry, Mariana, but I didn't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Sorry. So my first question is, how can you build a community, and how do you work on Health Cluster Portugal on building this community and building the ecosystem, because you are the biggest cluster in this area, right?
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. So my name is Joana Feijó. I would like to thank Miguel Amador and the EIT for the invitation to be here today and the opportunity to share the Health Cluster Portugal perspective on the implementation of artificial intelligence in Portugal. So Health Cluster Portugal is a private non-profit association founded in 2018. We have 185 members that represent all the value chain on healthcare, from R&D institutions, universities, hospitals, organizations from civil society, companies, startups and big companies. And we represent areas such as pharmaceuticals, biotechnology, smart health and digital health, medical technologies and services, of course. So Health Portugal has its main objective the promotion and implementation of initiatives leading to the consolidation of the national cluster for innovation and technology, and also for the competitiveness of the sector. We act mostly by promoting and foster cooperation between these members that we have, so companies, startups, R&D organizations, universities. And we do this with a view to create innovative products and services, increase business, exportations, and qualify employment in this sector. So having this in mind, how can we do this? So as I said, we have 185 members with us, and they all act in different spaces of the value chain. What we do, we create initiatives where we put all together in the same table, discussing different things like which could be some strategies in some specific areas, which could be the best way to create a specific product or service, which could be the best business model to sell internationally this solution, which could be the best internationalization strategy, and how can we have a critical mass to show Portugal outside our country. So mainly, and in a nutshell, what we do is put everyone in the same page, talk with everyone, collect information, collect opinions, discuss, and then try to have a paper where we are all aligned and where we can implement the next step. That could be a product, a project, a suggestion for a new policy, different things.
Thank you, Miguel. In EIT Health, you work also with universities, hospitals, and companies, and of course doctors in this building this community also. So, which are the biggest challenges now in Portugal, And as we were talking in the last panel, is the country and the sector ready to connect and to know more about these technologies?
No, that's a good question. So, being the host of this event, is easy to see that some of the people that spoke before, they are part of our network. So, in some way, what we do at EIT Health, we try to connect these different partners to build project that really drives the changes on healthcare. So, we are not looking necessarily to that 1-2% improvements, but that 10 times improvements on our health that can only happen when we bring people together, when we bring institutions together. And this is a little bit the challenge some of the times in Portugal, because we aim to be a small country with not a lot of resources. So what we try to do at EIT Health is connecting the partners, the institutions in Portugal with a wider and bigger network in Europe. Not because in Europe you'll find more resources, but in some way you can build bigger collaborations that actually can make an impact. And this is a little bit the challenge that we have when we look to the readiness of the different countries for AI. It's interesting to see how some countries are taking this as a national strategy. So France, Sweden, Germany are some of the countries that said this is the way. They had the health ministers saying we need to embrace technology, and that drives a lot of the changes along the way. Because in Portugal we still fight against the challenges that we are used to do healthcare in a way that is amazing in terms of Europe, but still not the most efficient many of the times. The efficiency comes more from the people rather than from the technology. And we see these examples how the hospitals are working with us to build capacity, to build knowledge, to train people to know how to deal with innovation, because it's not just understanding the technology, but how you drive, how you manage change, and how you work with people that some of them, they started working in as healthcare professionals before even a computer was part of their life. And now probably the computer needs to be 90% of their life, but it does not need to be no longer something that is between healthcare professionals and patients. That's why we look into the AI as something that we need to bring into the healthcare institutions for them to understand that they can leverage that to spend more time with patients, more time with people, and leaving the technology to do probably some of the work that is not the strongest of healthcare professionals. But still, the biggest challenge in Portugal that we see is creating this collaboration between institutions. And I think EIT Health has been a good example of this. Of course, we have here in the panel really good examples of how bridging, talking with each other, coordinating helps in some way overcome these challenges.
Thank you. In your case, Paulo, can you talk a little bit about this project, Digital Health Portugal, and how you are thinking about these issues and creating value on putting institutions together to talk about and to think about how can you move forward and create this space that is needed?
Yes, thank you so much for the question, Mariana. And I would subscribe entirely to what my predecessors in this panel already talked about. I think it's just the point is to create a space for the right conversations to happen. I think that EIT Health is doing an incredible work by doing this kind of events, and also other sorts of events like think tanks, where we have participants in the same room discussing issues that in the end will generate collaboration opportunities. Just to give you an example, this morning, within the framework of the Digital Health Portugal, we want to create a united front in Portugal for all the digital health, regardless of private sector, public sector, universities, all the players in the quadruple helix of innovation to be involved. And out of the conversation, suddenly we already discovered, for instance, the data lake initiatives, and I know that are being performed initiatives for data lakes that are dispersed. The region of Madeira was already interested is already building a health data lake for Madeira. And then they said, oh, and why not to combine this initiative with another already existing initiatives? And so that's the kind of enzymatic activities that can happen out of the spaces we can create for dialogue to happen with relevant stakeholders. I think that there's already a belief from the governments right now. They have the clear understanding that without digital health transformation, the national healthcare systems are not sustainable. So I think this is already assumed by all the governments in the European Union, if not in the world. Right, healthcare, the traditional healthcare systems that we have until COVID are not sustainable. So now let's take advantage of COVID to make a strong acceleration of digital health in the healthcare systems, and definitely AI is a critical element. But what we need now is this kind of conversations to happen. Data lakes are an important ingredient for AI. In healthcare, we need to start by that, by making sure in Portugal there's total alignment on a health data lake strategy. And obviously, we cannot think about health data lake for Portugal. No, I think even we have to think broader than the European Union. For successful research to happen, we need a huge critical mass of health data. And I'm not going to address this right now because I think the panel also must talk about it. But that's my key points here, is that enzymatic discussions, enzymatic conversations with the relevant key stakeholders. That's what I think all the institutions here in this panel are already doing.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Paulo. And now, Ana Rita, can you tell us a little bit about what you are doing in your collab and how you are you working in this value for health in Portugal?
Hello. Thank you for the invitation to be here. I'm a little bit embarrassed because, as you can see, I'm in the car. But it was I am not in at home. I had to leave, and this is the only place where I can be without a mask. So I decided to join in the car. I'm sorry.
Welcome.
But I'm fully in the panel. I just didn't preview it. It will get dark, but I will just put some light. This collaborative laboratory is part of a network of collaborative laboratories from the Portuguese Foundation of Science and Technology, and in Value for Health Collab we are starting. We are working for a little bit, 1 year and a half, and we have this issue of finding how to measure value or support measuring value in healthcare interventions, and we have a strong digital focus because, as you all said, the healthcare needs the digital. Digital methods and digital tools to otherwise it's not sustainable. So we are working in a rather bottom-up approach for now, because we want to create evidence from the connections that we have with the clinicians, clinical teams. We are working with them, and we want to build rather than theory or we are very committed to build evidence from going to the real places in healthcare, hospitals, primary care, and also working in prevention. So we have three pillars in Collab. The first pillar is one of the pillar is measuring outcomes using digital tools. So we want to measure health outcomes out of the hospital. We want to support pilots and studies where the patient is empowered by reporting outcomes in their daily lives. Then we are also to have patients reporting outcomes and giving data to their own data to the system. We have to educate. So we have another pillar that is health literacy and digital literacy. So we need to we are starting to develop contents for educating patients to report outcomes, to prevent health, to use digital health. Because that's really important to engage everyone in this. And then we have another pillar that is measuring value, where we have this economic, we measure costs, and also we are starting to build knowledge on change management, as you said, Miguel and the others in this event. It's not the technology, and I have an engineering background. I've developed products in healthcare, but I soon understood that technology is not the issue now. We have lots of very good technologies, but we need to go to the field and start practicing and start working with the clinicians that are, at least with those who want to be innovative and start doing, raising evidence. I forgot to say that this Value for Health Collab has 4 partners. This is very important. Our main partner is Nova University, so we are working in Nova University with many faculties. Our offices are in Nova Medical School, but we work also with the FCT, the Science and Technologies faculty, also the social sciences, also because we want to gather also social sciences because they are important also for patient engagement and for change management. And the other partners are the Fraunhofer, Portugal, as you all know. Fraunhofer is also part of this collab, and we are using their technology, and we are joining in projects together. CUF, that is the main partner, a private healthcare provider in Portugal, and Vodafone Portugal. And these partners joined together because they have the vision that we have to build this digital health pathways for improving value. And of course, artificial intelligence is part of the digital healthcare pathway.
Thank you. And we were talking about building this awareness, and in some way building a new framework that can help on building this, on growing this community. So what are the main values do you believe can work as a basis on this framework, and what can be done for now? And of course this pandemic situation accelerated this process, as you told, and as told by other participants in the other panel I moderate. How can you start building this awareness? And I know you create some communities, but in a practical way, what can be done for now to raise this awareness and to raise it more efficiency and more quickly, I guess?
If you want, I can start.
Of course.
Okay, so I was reflecting on how can Health Cluster Portugal support the development of the implementation and the adoption of AI in Portugal? And what I understood is that there are some kind of enablers that are very important to be present when we are creating an ecosystem to grow artificial intelligence. One is to work in a network where we have the technologists, the physicians, and the patients. Like in other technologies, but maybe here it's more preponderant, is that we need to have the different stakeholders in order to have final solutions with high quality and with high evidence, clinical evidence. So to have this, to have the best use cases to be prioritized, to be developed, to have great design and ease of use, to have quality and high performance algorithms, and to have integrity in the algorithms, we need to have a network of the different stakeholders. And of course, I believe that clusters or networks like we can help addressing this. One example in Health Cluster is we created 1 year or 2 years ago, 1 year and a half, a network, or we called a subcluster that is Smart Health Network, that his main objective is to put together all the stakeholders that are working on digital health in Portugal. From hospitals to clinicians to technology to ethical to regulators to big companies, international companies, and try to have in mind what needs to be done regarding what could be done, what are the needs from the market. So here the clinicians and the patients. How can we do this with the current technology available? If we could do this because of the regulation and the ethical part, and how can we do this efficiently? And this has been a very interesting conversation. We have already started creating a new solution, a new product that aggregates different technologies from different companies and different R&D institutions, and that will be validated in hospitals. And at the same time, we want to analyze and evaluate the cost effectiveness of this solution. So in the same network, we are addressing different points and hearing different stakeholders. And I think this is a way that where we can support the adoption and implementation of AI in Portugal, making something like this, but focus on AI. Another point that is important is scale. So to have artificial intelligence, we all know that we need to have scale. We need to have data, huge amounts of data. To have huge amounts of data, we need to have digitalization on health. Okay, we have something more or less. We are not too bad, but we need to have different players giving data. So here, the public and private partnerships and big consortium are also very important. So have different stakeholders that can bring data and share this data to be worked by the artificial intelligence. At the same time, so here, as we are a cluster that have different stakeholders that have data, we easily can create what we call a data lake, and that is one of our projects. Thank you, Paulo, to address that.
Yes, I was going to send you a message today about this.
Okay, so in Health Cluster Portugal, we are launching a national data lake using data from different stakeholders, and we want this to scale up, of course.
Sorry to interrupt. Is it easy to present this concept or new concepts or new projects to these players, to these stakeholders?
It's not easy, but it's feasible. Okay. But it takes time. It takes a long time. So this is a project that we have been starting one year ago, and we closed the consortium 4 or 5 days ago. So this is very time consuming, and we are only on the first steps. So this is another way that we can contribute to the implementation of AI. So having a national data lake constituted by private and public institutions from our country. And finally, just not to have all the time with me, one major issue here in AI is data integrity. So data quality, data sharing, and everything regarding to have data that we can be confident and use AI above them. Clusters and networks can operate here. How? And I will give you an example of what we did. So Health Cluster have participated in a European initiative that is called the Declaration for the European Share Data Space. There is where more than 30 clusters and 15 countries in Europe joined together to resume or summarize what they think should be the strategy to have a European shared data space on the following years. And we present this declaration to the German government 2 months ago when they are managing the presidency of the European Council. So what we want to do with this is to start pushing everyone from companies to governments to address the problem of data standards, uniformization, and data retrieval to be used on a secondary part that is artificial intelligence. So 3 examples of what we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Miguel, for you, which are the great resistance in this relationship?
No, I think it's important to build on what already Joanna shared, because I think we all share the same goals, and it's interesting because when we look into, we have here 4 different organizations that are trying to build these networks, these communities, and have people working together. It seems that we are competing with each other, but the truth is that the more we are, the better. And the simple reason for this is because what we've been seeing on the main challenge of promoting AI or digital health is the lack of trust. So we need to build trust between these different sides. We spent too many years with doctors being told that they should go away from the industry. They cannot work with the industry because we got used to the image of an industry trying to sell their technology, and concerns about the honesty of all the process. So we now need to revert this kind of process. We now need to revert in the way that the industry, and when I say industry, I mainly speak about the innovators, that can be a startup, can be a big company, can be a research team. There is still a lack of trust between these 2 sides. And we saw across Europe in some examples of how hospitals, for instance, got together during COVID so they had the urgent need to bring technology for diagnosis, for treatment. So what they did, they gather the ecosystem, let's try to find the best solutions. And one of the feedbacks of some of the hospitals is that they really liked the way that was done, because it didn't mean for them to be risking on being the first ones to work with a private company or being the first ones to risk a new technology. And building these networks, these bubbles of trust that allow people first to meet each other, and then to feel that they can fail, or at least they can risk in a way that the ecosystem is supporting them and not necessarily being the pioneers. Is something that we really need to build and continue to foster. And I think this is the main work of these different networks, different communities, these different associations, how you bring entities, organizations, and often people that they don't speak with each other in their normal days together, because that allowed to create the trust and then allow to really implement these kind of solutions. And then this is a little bit on this that I think is key on probably adding what Juan already told about the relevant things on this area.
So a resistance would be this lack of trust, right?
Yes. In some way, lack of trust and risk adverse, being risk adverse. That's the point. Like when we don't trust the other side, and sometimes it's not just trust from a researcher or innovator. It's trust from hospital administration that allow you, okay, you can risk on this because we trust you. We know that you are doing the best for our patients, and that's the connections of trust that needs to be further built to push innovation. Otherwise, people will not will avoid as much as possible to put their jobs in the line, or put especially patients in the line, because they don't feel the trust to do this kind of engagement and collaboration. So these networks, these initiatives are good ways to start building this kind of relations. And at EIT Health, we saw some of many times we organized these think tank meetings, and where it was interesting to see that many of the stakeholders, so different national organizations, not only in Portugal, but other countries, that was the first time they were sitting together and discussing topics.
Yeah, that's impressive. Ana Rita, do you feel that when you are in contact with these entrepreneurs and these new builders, they are aware of these difficulties, or aware with this of these resistances, or they are dreamers right now?
I'm sorry, I'm too dark, but I think it's. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
I think it's interesting what Juan and Miguel said, because I observed that there are two levels to go to do this pathway. One is, I would say, top down, like building data lakes and big clusters with the relevant players in healthcare, and the other one is moving from the bottom, trying to build, as I said, trying to build evidence. So working with, we have to give support to those who are innovators, who like medical doctors that want to move and to try new things, medical doctors or medical teams. And so I think these two levels of action, top down and bottom up, are complementary and important. For example, one of the projects that I showed today has we are struggling a lot to get the data to do the artificial intelligence work. And this struggle to get the data is very annoying for engineers. We want to get the data by the rules and so on. But on the other side, I feel it's we are opening new ways. So it's maybe in 5 to 10 years it will be easy to get the data from healthcare providers. So very clear, we know what we can ask for, and everything is prepared. But for now, the trust problem is an issue also for the DPOs and for research. And I am giving an example for a research project. So summing up what I want to say, there are two levels that I think they are important. Collab is more in the now. For now, at least, we are in the bottom up. So we are working with people, trying to do this movement of change and innovation. and getting the data by the rules with ethical committee to the DPO, and well, doing everything that needs to be done to get the data to process and study and research. And the other level, from top down, it's very important to push for the change. And I think the best in this, in all well, in both strategies, working with the champions, those who want to change, who are willing to collaborate in innovation, is the way.
Putting people together to work together in a common goal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Paulo, we were talking about COVID and about the impacts of this crisis in health and in general world. Is there a situation that is no turning back on the digital part of the health, or are we still evaluating the impact of this crisis?
Yeah, that's a very good question, because that's the $1 million questions about the future after COVID. Who can forecast it? I don't know. But I can share with you some thoughts from the Data Forum, the Digital Health Portugal initiatives that we are addressing, and it has to do with the discovery of when we talk about AI and we talk about these algorithms, we definitely need to have the biggest possible scale of data, right? And just to my amazement, with the Brexit, right, with the United Kingdom out of the European Commission, what I realized is that there is another entity that has to be taking the lead on this, because of course we cannot afford in Europe to have a data lake for European Union citizens and not include like UK or Norway or other countries that are also part of Europe as a region. And that's precisely what I discovered by the WHO. You know, the World Organization is doing incredible work in trying to get a consensus at higher than European Union level, right? Higher than the European, a world level consensus, but obviously making Europe as a world region taking the lead as a whole, because obviously we cannot forget that UK is way ahead in terms of the way they have the laws ready for using health data, and not just health data. We discussed this morning. It's not just health data, which is important. It's also life data, because if I know what is your sleeping pattern, right, as a doctor, I may be a better diagnostic without AI. Only that, because you have this information on your smartphones today, right? I can get life data from citizens, and I can have better decisions. And of course, that's important, is to have a framework for these data to be interoperable, right, and be used with trust by all. And of course, if you start in a regional level, like we discovered this morning in the case of the regions, and if Portugal wants to do its own data lake, I think this is pointless. I think it's important to have in mind that we have to have interoperability. We have to have these conversations happening, and we need to broaden our mind in order to what needs to happen. And just one note about doing the pilots that Joanna Feijó mentioned. It's interesting because I congratulate, obviously, healthcare health data cluster. We in Portugal have already many success companies in terms of AI in healthcare. Ilove as an example. And this is interesting to note. But be careful when we talk about market needs, because we all remember when the cars were invented by Ford. If we ask the public what they want, they will ask faster horses, right? So right now we are in the stage of, if we ask citizens and the patients what they want made faster what they have right now. And the AI in healthcare is going to completely change the paradigm, and we'll be focusing more on health. Life data, I would say life data, how many hamburgers you eat, how many, what is your life pattern, rather than a clinical data.
Thank you so much. So we have, I think, three main ideas. We have to build trust, evidences, and of course a framework to build this community. That's all, I guess. We don't have more time, but I thank you for on being here, and I thank you of course the invitation to moderate these two panels, and see you soon, I guess. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
So I'll take the stage now to finish this part of the event. More than actually finishing the event, we at EIT Health we went to present an initiative that we are doing following this conference, and is bringing the people together. And I'll bring you. Let me just put the presentation on. The announcement that we'll be doing a report on health technology in Portugal, so we can understand a little bit better who are doing innovation in our ecosystem and how that is being done. So it's really important to look into a little bit what EIT Health is doing on connecting these different partners, because we connect business, research, and education, and the changes of knowledge, of trust, of work between them. And this is key, because in some way we often only look to a side of the stakeholders. We only understand what academia is doing, or startups are doing, or even what education is doing in certain aspects. So trying to map a little bit what is being done in Portugal, put that at the disposal of the ecosystem, of course, working with all the existing networks and people already making these connections to make sure that we can share a comprehensive view of how we as EIT Health can initiate, identify, connect these different stakeholders, and at the same time also a tool that allow others to do the same. And I just want to share with you the preliminary data that we have been gathering these past months. That is still early data, but we identified in Portugal 56 startups that are working actively on bringing innovation to healthcare, in digital health and medtech, in biotech. So this is a number that surprises in some way, because often we see this as a more scattered or limited number, but it shows that there is a lot of potential, but we still need to understand which stage are there. They are. It's still early stage. How many of them already matured, are really in practice. And we can, this is a more public number of there is more than 300 research organizations, but how many of them really work in healthcare? Because the what we define as health probably 20 years ago was completely different from what we have now. Engineering departments developing AI. We have psychology, the teams that in some way are working in new health aspects, food organizations focus on food, for instance. That's their goal, is to improve the way we eat and the way we live through food. So there is a lot of impacts on health that we will try to understand. And again, who else are the more stakeholders? So just announcing here that we are launching now this collection to the community, getting more information, trying to do this mapping that benefit not only the work that we do at EIT Health, but also the work that we hope that all in our community do. So the key action and the takeaway I'll give you here is to share with us the work you do on health technologies. Feel free to approach us, tell about your projects. We already know and work with many of the institutions in Portugal, but we may always be missing some. So we'll be collecting during the next month this information, and we hope to publish that report in February. The last but not the least is that we build this conference in a way that we could go a little bit away from the traditional digital tools of we speaking with you as an audience. So we'll be opening now until 7 our virtual exposition. We have more than 24 projects there. The teams will be there, so you can approach them. You can join the call. Don't be shy. Speak with them. They are eager to share what they are doing. They are eager to make connections. Use this moment for a connection time that we really need in these holiday periods. Despite being digital, we're trying to bring a little bit of the normality of meeting people, connecting people. So use as much, visit the Expo, use the networking tools that you have available at your disposal. This is a functional that is only inside the platform that we built for this conference. So for those that are seeing the streaming, you'll not be able to connect in this way, but feel free to jump into our platform until 7. So this is that kind of unique opportunities in the way that after 7, we need to go back to our way of connecting without these tools. So leverage it, connect with as many people as possible, embrace random connections. So use this time to build new connections for the new year. So from my side and from EIT Health side in Portugal, that's all. We'll leave you now mingling, networking, sharing knowledge, because in some way the key is what we do together more than actually what we think and when we pass as because we don't know where we are going. We only know that we need to go together into this exploration of pushing AI into real life in our day-to-day life. So thank you again. Hope to see you again in 2021 in other initiatives, other events. So thank you.